everyone. Thanks for joining us at 7. I'm Tracey McCain.
I'm Caitlin Nuclo. You're watching Eyewitness News here on the Wax. A lot to talk about, especially in the weather department. So let's get right over to meteorologist Sot Haney, tracking this forecast, which includes some heavy rain in some parts of the state, right, Scott?
Yes, particularly northeast Connecticut. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Wax. Flash flood warning in effect for northern Windham County. A flood watch in effect for all of Windham County until 4 p.m. The flash flood warning goes until 9 o'clock this morning. Let's show you the reason why. You can see we've got the moderate to heavy rain that's been coming down about an inch an hour, if not a little bit more, an inch or two an hour in parts of Brooklyn, right down 395 on up into Putnam, down through Norwich. This is making an exit. You can see it is getting better. We've just got some moderate rain coming down in Tolland, down through Haddam. This is all pushing from southwest to northeast, and it will be out of the state probably within the hour. Let's just say an hour and a half to 2 hours max, and then things are going to gradually start to get better. As you can see there, it's kind of blossomed throughout even portions of central Connecticut. This is pushing up and out, but it is going to take its sweet time. If you see a flooded road, turn around, don't drown. Your forecast for today calls for temperatures cooler than average and cooler than yesterday, between 75 and 80 degrees. Your 7-day forecast is just minutes away. Don't go anywhere. Good morning, Kate.
All right, good morning, Scott. 7:02 here. If you are getting ready to hit the road, we do have some issues across the state. We're dealing with a ramp closure here right in Rocky Hill on 91 northbound. A little bit of reduced visibility. It looks like we've actually got some smoke here through this stretch because of the flares as well. Heavy delays. This is again on the northbound side by exit 23, which is closed here this morning. This was a stretch that we saw a lot of water over the roadway just a short time ago. Here in Windsor, right on the Windsor Locks line by the Bradley Connector, still wet, but not as bad as it was just a little while ago either. Here in Vernon, we've got some spray coming up from vehicles along 84. As you're heading out the door here this morning, though, that's basically the only crash that we're following for you again in Rocky Hill. We've got some delays down through Fairfield County, but let's take you out on the roadways once again. Weather Tracker 2 traveling here through Mansfield. I do believe we have that. Back inside roads here. Those windshield wipers are working very hard this morning as you're heading out the door, especially in the northeastern portion of the state. Another update coming up for you in several minutes. Let's quick check at your Connecticut Chevy First Alert traffic report driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealers.
Well, right now we're looking at what could come next after an emotional verdict in the house party murder trial.
A jury found 20-year-old Raul Valley not guilty on the most serious charges: murder, manslaughter, and assault. Your reporter Marcy Jones has more from this verdict.
Well, Channel 3 was present in the courtroom as the judge read the verdict for each of those counts. This was the end to a 3-week trial for Raul Valley, who was accused of fatally stabbing Fairfield prep student Jimmy McGrath back in 2022 at a Shelton house party. On one side of the courtroom, you had the McGrath family, who looked visibly shocked at the verdict. On the other hand, you had the Valley family, who looked like they were breathing a collective sigh of relief. However, now we know that Raul Valley could face more legal battles in his future. The 3-day deliberation started and ended with the jury telling the judge they were deadlocked on some of the charges. Twice the judge encouraged the jurors to go back over the evidence and continue deliberations. In the end, the judge accepted a partial verdict. The murder charge decision was unanimous, not guilty. A unanimous agreement was not reached on the lesser charges, reckless manslaughter and reckless assault. The judge ruled a mistrial on those charges. While Valley and his attorney declined to speak to the media, the father of Jimmy McGrath spoke after the verdict was read.
There's no Monday morning quarterbacks here. I think they did everything they could. I'm astonished at the result. But, you know, it's due process. He's entitled to it. And at the end of the day, the jury made their verdict. I'm not sure, you know, if they're in the same courtroom as we all were together, but that's the verdict.
While Valley cannot be retried for the same criminal charges, lesser charges can still be filed against him. And right now he is currently facing a wrongful death civil suit. Your reporter in Milford, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
And that partial verdict with a mistrial on certain counts does leave a door open for the state to pursue a new trial. Attorney and legal analyst Walter Hussey explains what needs to be considered here.
And the state has to assess whether or not they want to try again, and they very well may say yes, because they're going to want to try the for the McGrath family, because Jimmy did lose his life. They may feel an obligation to try the case again. They can't try again on murder or any of the charges that he was acquitted on. However, they can go with the reckless manslaughter case. Once again, a different jury, could be a different result.
And we're still waiting on that decision from the state's attorney's office on whether they will pursue another trial in this case.
Well, right now, police are investigating a deadly crash involving a bicyclist in Litchfield just before 10 o'clock last night. It happened on Bantam Lake Road, and police say that road is now back open to traffic. State police are investigating what caused the crash.
Well, right now, multiple people are being treated for injuries after a crash in Torrington. Police tell us it happened about 7:30 last night on Weed Road. Pinpoint News Tracker shows you exactly where. One vehicle was involved, and police are now looking into what caused it. Well, there's an urgent warning this morning to drivers about sharing the road with motorcycles. Right now, police are investigating several deadly crashes, including 2 since Tuesday.
Your reporter Roger Susanen has more on this important warning from police and what they're asking drivers across the state to do.
Well, that's right, because we all know that one mistake, one temporary lapse in judgment can be deadly, especially this time of year, because summer is peak motorcycle riding season. We've seen so many deadly crashes, and unfortunately, we saw one just 2 nights ago here in Wallingford. Police say a 19-year-old man was trying to turn here onto the Wharton Brook connector from Route 5 on his motorcycle when he was hit and killed. And sadly, that investigation, again, the 5th deadly motorcycle wreck in our state over the last 8 days. Now, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, nearly 20% of deadly crashes in Connecticut involve a motorcycle, and it is an especially big problem in our state. It's 4% higher than the national average here. About a third of the deadly crashes in Connecticut involve excessive speed, according to police. And investigators warn that motorcycle riders are often harder to see, which is yet another reminder that every driver needs to stay focused and, of course, never drink or look at your phone when you are behind the wheel. It can have deadly consequences. Now, we mentioned that, unfortunately, the number of crashes does go up in the summer, and we can tell you that right now, in fact, state police are investigating another motorcycle crash, potentially with serious crashes in Bethel. Reporting in Wallingford, I'm your reporter, Roger Susanen, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
And right now we're working to learn more about that crash in Bethel that Roger mentioned. We know one person was hurt there. State police tell us a car and a motorcycle collided about 9:30 last night. Pinpoint News Tracker here showing you where it happened on 84 eastbound right near exit 8.
Well, this morning, a jury says a Hartford man is guilty in the shooting death of a teenager in East Hartford back in 2022. Police say Ja'Kai Clark fired the shots during a drug deal. A 15-year-old was initially charged in the shooting before police learned it was Clark who fired the gun. Clark will be sentenced in September.
All right, back to that flash flood warning in effect for northern Windham County until 9 o'clock this morning. That means business out there. 1 to 2 inches of rain already on the ground, and there could be another inch coming. Although it is getting a little bit better, we're starting to see the diminishing intensity of the rainfall in parts of northern Windham County. It's still raining there, don't get me wrong, but it is getting a little bit better, but still coming down to beat the band. All right, as we widen out the shot, boy, is it raining out there in parts of New England, particularly here in northern Connecticut, northeast Connecticut, right up through Boston. So just be careful driving around out there. If it's not raining in your hometown, chances are the roads are wet. Your 7-day forecast is just minutes away. 7:10. Good morning.
All right,
Morning,
good morning,
Kate.
Scott. Still ahead here, travelers know that flight delays and cancellations can cause some big headaches.
One major airline says artificial intelligence could make your trips go a lot easier. We'll explain after the break.